ambassador marketing, how to start and what to do. Let's go to the next slide. So kind of like Nick kicked us off, I wanted to talk about what people think ambassador marketing is. And that's usually, paying someone with a really large online following to post a picture with their products. So, I think I have like a baby or diaper service picture here. And there's nothing wrong with that, but as communities and our social platforms continue to evolve, and especially if you have a more grassroots, smaller budget, tapping into these content creators isn't always going to be the best, most sustainable move. But it's not the only thing that ambassador marketing is. At the end of the day, ambassador marketing means investing in your relationships with your community to grow your network, reach new audiences, and cultivate sustainable growth. So it's an overarching strategy that can really inform all of your communications, and you don't have to have deep pockets for it. So it can look like inviting your super fans to be part of decision making, co-hosting events, asking for feedback, spotlighting stories, sharing behind the scenes details and special perks with your ambassadors. And yes, sometimes sponsored content campaigns. So with that in mind, we'll now go into, who, why, and how you can incorporate ambassador marketing into your strategies. So we'll start with, who makes a good ambassador. You really have to think here, quality is better than quantity when it comes to being an ambassador. It's really important that the people who you are inviting to be ambassadors have love for your brand, a relationship with your brand, or a story with your brand. Kind of, brief passing interests or kind of superficial connections, people are going to be able to see through that. And a true ambassador is a true fan who is going to provide you with this organic word of mouth. So some places to start are kind of like Nick shared with the Emma Norton example, people who are already served by your nonprofit, or you could think of them like your customers, your program participants, people who are already engaging the most with your content online. Monthly donors are a really good fit for this. Sometimes people think, or I've seen this model of the really high net worth donors getting the most kind of white glove special treatment, but ambassadors can be influential no matter the size of their checks or following. You can also tap into community leaders and kind of micro or nano influencers, bloggers in your niche. This goes kind of more into the sponsored content example. Good ambassadors can also be your colleagues in complementary or adjacent sectors who can refer people to your program, recommend your program, answer questions about it. And then also the people who are already working for you, your employees and your volunteers. So I'll go through how to kind of incorporate all these folks. But I also just wanted to note, if you're looking to find a community leader or someone that's not already in your network to be an ambassador, you generally want to look for people who have targeted audiences. They only specialize in a few topic areas like parenthood or community events, something like that. They really connect with their community and like a trusted friend or confidant. And just another reminder that bigger doesn't always mean better. Actually, the less followers an influencer might have, the more their followers are going to engage with what they post and talk about. So now that we've talked about who makes a good ambassador, let's go into why you want to engage with them. So first of all, people trust people. Ambassadors, just like me, just like Nick, just like everyone on this call, you have a community that's going to listen to what you say and trust your recommendations. So if you can earn the trust of your ambassadors, their community is going to trust you as well. You also can increase brand awareness with new audiences, whether you're looking to engage more with the Somali population or the young population or older adults. The ambassadors that are already in this community are going to know the language that their community speaks. Maybe a video is going to be better to reach them than a blog post. Maybe a radio show is going to be better than appearing on television. Your ambassadors have the savviness of these new audiences, and if you have a real, true collaborative relationship with them, we'll be able to let you know the best way to reach these new folks. It's also a great way to generate new content opportunities and to get on platforms that you might be a little hesitant about. So maybe this working with an ambassador is a way to get your brand on TikTok or YouTube, or start making Instagram reels. So again, it all kind of goes to following people where they are and where they know their community is. And also from an analytical and marketing strategy side, we're seeing big platforms, especially Instagram, really prioritizing creators. Actually, Instagram is rolling out these new tools to financially reward influencers and creators who post. And we're kind of seeing more privacy restrictions with email, less cookie tracking. So the way the trends are going, people are going to be the best way to reach people. So ambassador marketing is a way to be strategic as well. So let's go to the next slide. So here's how to start. So I would recommend when you return back to your team going through these questions to start putting together an ambassador program. So first, you kind of want to think who is in your community now. Those who you already have a relationship with and when you would already be able to build programs with. So, your customers, your employees, your volunteers. You also want to think who are you hoping to reach? Like I give the example, we want to bring younger people into our work, older people into our work. That'll kind of guide you to what programs and what ambassadors you need to engage with. And then this is another really important one that can be kind of overlooked when creating ambassador programs is how will you include and support your ambassadors? You can't just, it's much more difficult to see a return on your investment if you just ask people to promote you or ask them to do favors for you, or talk about you and they don't get nothing in return. Ambassadors should really feel like they're on your A team and they have that special relationship with you that makes them excited to share. So maybe that's behind the scenes access, prizes, special tips, but thinking about how you're going to support your ambassadors to support you is really crucial. Yeah, so what are you gonna do for you? What will they get in return? And then you also want to think about how you can get in touch with folks to find out what would motivate them to be an ambassador. Maybe people want some swag. Maybe it would be, a private meeting with your executive director. What is going to motivate people to want to talk about your program, your organization? That's going to be really important. So now I'm going to go through some examples of how to execute this. So this first example is from a for-profit company called Bim Bamboo. They make toilet paper, paper towels that's made out of bamboo. So they are for sustainably minded customers. And I'm a fan of their brand. And I saw on their Instagram stories, they were doing polls. They're starting to launch a new rewards program. And one of the questions was, would you be interested in talking to us? So I hit yes. I received a DM from this brand on Instagram. We set up a time to talk and I kind of shared my opinions on their brand, their customer programs for about 20 minutes. And then I was really touched a couple days ago that I got this present in the mail, a handwritten note from their CEO with a special coupon code and this booty, which I think is a piece of soap, maybe a candle. I don't know, but it really made me smile so much. I actually posted about this on Instagram and am more motivated to tell my friends about this brand. So you can what I really love about this example is it illustrates this kind of give and get, asking me for my feedback, but then rewarding me with this note, the code, and this little present. So this is just one example of community engagement and finding out what your community really wants. So we can go to the next slide. So this is an example from one of my clients, Lunar Startups. They're a nonprofit startup accelerator program in Minnesota. And the Fix It Friday event series is a great example of ambassador marketing. It came out of a real need in COVID-19 when in-person networking, brainstorming, whiteboarding was all taken away. The director of Lunar Startups, Danielle, and the director of The Coven, which is a for-profit organization in Minnesota, kind of reached out and decided to hold these events to give entrepreneurs a space to gather. I really love that instead of this just being a Lunar Startups event or just the Coven event, it was a co-branded event. So in some way, in a way, Lunar Startups is kind of serving as an ambassador for the Coven, co-signing on them, supporting this event. The Coven was serving as an ambassador for Lunar Startups, sharing these events with their members, co-signing and co-hosting. So how we ended up structuring this event is we spotlighted different experts every week. So you can see we've got some celebrities on the more national stage, like Arlen Hamilton, Dessa, someone from Netflix, and then we have kind of local celebrities in the Minnesota entrepreneur community. So because this was an event series, these folks were able to share their events when they were featured with their communities. Their communities signed up to support, the people they knew, and we were really able to grow our audience. Actually, 63% of the new contacts we gained in our email system this last year came from Fix It Friday. And also because we were able to constantly bring in new voices, new ambassadors, build these relationships, we actually ended up transforming Fix It Friday into a vehicle for sponsorship. So you can see how, investing in your relationships and strategically picking ambassadors can really lead to increasing your revenue. So now we'll go to the next slide. So this is an example, again, with Lunar Startups about kind of spotlighting stories. So it doesn't always have to be you meet up with someone to film them or ask them to create something totally unique for you. We like to use our customers or program participants as the stories we're telling all day, every day online. We know, like, maybe some of your nonprofit programs, our participants are really like the best referral to engage with our programs, because people want to know, is this legit? Like, are they really going to look out for me? Did you really think this was helpful? So we really invest a lot in our participants, not only with the great program, but celebrating them and shouting them out and spotlighting them. If they feel celebrated and included and like rock stars being part of our program, we know they're going to be excited to talk about the support they got with their other entrepreneur friends. So in the middle, we're kind of highlighting Tamika Jones's story. She's a local business owner. And then on the far left and right, you can see an example of using our employees as ambassadors. So this is kind of following the person first trends of the social platforms. Our director, Danielle, creates reels for us, putting her face out there to kind of build that trust and serve as an ambassador. And then we're also using some of the new platform tools like, or I guess not new, but now being more prioritized tools like Instagram Lives, IGTVs to kind of use the platform, put our faces out there and engage with our program participants as ambassadors. And this is just something that we've just worked into all of our communication strategies. So from social media down to email, all of it. So next slide. And I also just wanted to share how sponsored content can work for nonprofit or not-for-profit organizations. So I've picked two examples, both from cities. On the left is Mama Fresh. She is an influencer in Chicago. And she has, like I mentioned, a very specific kind of niche that she talks about audience she serves. That's mothers, people who live on the south side of Chicago, Black families in Chicago. And this sponsored post is about receiving the COVID vaccine. So, you can see here that the city of Chicago probably didn't say, hey, Mama Fresh, post a picture with your sister-in-law and write these exact words. Like, she's able to share her family here, which is what her followers expect from her content. She's able to give this personalized story. And as a result, I imagine this campaign was really effective. But you'll see there's no products here. She doesn't have like a logo that she's sharing. But because she's good at her job and because they picked her strategically, they're able to get this message out to her audience in Chicago. And on the right, you see one of the council members in St. Paul. Now, I doubt that this was like sponsored content, like they paid her to post this on Facebook, but this is a really good example of involving your existing community in your comms and materials. So It's a video they filmed about reopening downtown St. Paul. Mitra Nelson is, a young person. She's a person of color. That's her audience. But by engaging her in this video, kind of letting her do her thing with picking the pink sparkly bike, showcasing her personality, her followers and her community are going to see that St. Paul is opening and trust that it's real. It's a fun thing to do because Mitra is showing up authentically as herself in this video. So I really love that example. And we'll go to the next slide. So these are a couple examples of using internal communities to kind of keep your ambassadors plugged in and connected. So we talked about how difficult it is to just ask people to do something and give them nothing in return. So this is I really love both of these examples. The one on the left is for Later Media. It's an Instagram scheduling platform. So again, for profit, they are a tech product, and they just launched this Later Social Club. So that's a Slack group where their users can network, connect, talk about how to use their products, talk about how they're using Instagram, and really build that brand loyalty and community that's always talking about Later. And on the right is just a screenshot of our own Lunar Startup Slack. I mentioned that our program participants and the entrepreneurs are the ones who are really able to move our program forward. We keep in touch with them by having our alumni remain in our Slack group where we're sharing resources. We've built a culture of entrepreneurs asking each other questions. And it's really a way that we can invest in supporting them and they always stay in touch with us and what's going on. So it makes it a lot easier to actually share our programs when we go to them and say, hey, can you share that applications are open or this event is happening? So these are both two great examples. You can go to the next slide. This brings me to the end of my brief discussion.